Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Retire Well, the show that's designed to help you retire well in all aspects of your life. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and joining me in the studio is Kevin Bucher. He is the co-founder of Citizen Advisory Group and financial advisor there. Kevin, I'm excited to be back in the studio with you, and I know we've put together another great show for our viewers at home.
Yes, it's a fun one.
Yes.
We're going to talk a lot about retirement income strategies, and I think it's one of the more important areas of the financial planning process.
It absolutely
because
is.
Still to this day, I don't think that consumers have made the adjustment from how to live off of the paycheck and then go into the retirement and start to live off of your assets that you've accumulated. So the retirement income plan is such an important tool. We'll talk about how I kind of consider it the glue that holds the financial plan together. So we'll talk a little bit later about what I mean by that. But yes, retirement income planning, great show.
Well, I'm excited to get into this with you because the reality is that success in retirement, when it comes down to it, it's not so much the amount that you've been able to accumulate over your life, although of course that does play a factor, but rather your ability to take that amount and be able to convert it into a reliable ongoing income stream for yourself that's going to last you throughout the rest of your life. And this is why this income discussion is so important. I wanted to start by sharing a survey that came out recently. So according to Schroeder's 2023 U.S. Retirement Survey, which was conducted by 8 Acre Perspective, 49% of people said that they don't have a retirement income strategy. That's a staggering statistic when you think about it.
So it's essentially half. And I actually would question the results of that survey because I think it's actually a much higher number of individuals that don't have a retirement income strategy. So if you're out there today and you don't really have a defined retirement income strategy, don't over fret about that. It's an important tool, but you're not alone. A lot of us out there today don't have a written income plan. And I would go on to add further in that survey, they said that the plan really is to just take money from their accounts as they need it. So when I think about that, it makes me cringe a little bit because what could possibly go wrong with that approach?
Oh, gosh.
We'll just take it when we need it.
It reminds me of, I've heard someone say that if planning leads to if come. You don't want if come, you want income, right?
Yes, yes.
That's a big important distinction.
Well, it really defines how we're going to support our lifestyle and what we're going to live off of. So I don't think it's any surprise then some other results from that survey. If about half of the individuals out there don't have a defined income strategy, that 57% of those that were surveyed came back with having a big concern about not having a regular paycheck, not having a retirement paycheck. And about a quarter of those individuals weren't worried about it, they were terrified. So what can we do about that?
Yes.
So we have to start taking the necessary steps to build this plan. So there's, all of this there's so much uncertainty that comes with financial planning, right? So there's so many things out there that we can't control. But our job as financial professionals is really to put some certainty to this so that you can have a little more peace of mind as you go into these retirement years.
And when folks are coming in and meeting with you for the first time, I know we've talked about this, but it seems like this stat matches up, right? Would you say the majority of people you meet with, they just don't currently have any kind of written retirement income plan?
Absolutely. I actually think that this is giving a little too generous of results.
Right.
So if I ask a lot of folks, usually it's a question asked, do you have a plan? And oftentimes what happens with this is they kind of slide over their investment statements and say, well, yes, this is my plan.
Yeah, that pile of statements, right?
Yes. Yeah. And that isn't a plan at all. What that is some of the resources that you've accumulated that we then need to put together to develop the actual plan.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's so much strategy that goes into that, knowing what accounts to withdraw from first. I mean, there's just so much. And so I know when folks don't have a plan, what are a couple of the dangers that they're running into currently?
Yeah, I think generally speaking, we see two pervasive outcomes for folks that don't have a plan. So first of those would be that maybe you're overspending your retirement assets a little bit and you're increasing the risk that you're going to run out of money in your lifetime. And, and I know that is a huge fear for most out there, and that the survey kind of speaks to that. So that is one consequence, that you're going to maybe overspend, increase the likelihood that you're going to run out of income in your lifetime. But because of that fear, it actually leads to the second outcome, And I think we actually see this more often than we see the overspending. So the second outcome we often see is it's not that you're overspending, it's that you're underspending because you're so afraid of overspending and running out of income in your lifetime. So either one of those two things are just devastating consequences. We kind of look at the retirement period as a very special thing, right? So as a firm, we've always focused on the retirement planning aspect of your financial life.
And helping folks retire well in all areas, right?
Yes.
That's
so beyond
critical.
the finance and so it's just something we hold very special. So, we want to do what we can so that you can retire the right way, have the retirement that you really have worked your whole life for, right? So we understand, I think, as a firm really well, that what you've accumulated over the course of your lifetime came with a lot of sacrifice. It came with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. So we want to be a good partner in that and make sure that all that effort that you put into this, you're now getting the most out of it. And we don't want you to live this just in case retirement. Because you're so fearful of running out of money. So when we plan it right, we cannot live just in case. We can thrive and enjoy these retirement and these golden years.
Which I know has to be such a gift for folks to come in and have that relief. Maybe you're wondering, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can retire, or maybe I need to keep working. But when you're able to work with someone and say, no, look, here's the plan, here are what the numbers say, and you're gonna be okay. Gosh, what a gift that is. And so how do you get started? Let's say someone calls even the show today and they're going, yes, I need help with this. They come in. Where do you even get started in building a retirement income plan?
So it starts with a lot of questions, all right? So there's really two primary ones, though, that shape the conversation. And they're two really important questions. And maybe they take a little bit of time for someone to develop the answer to, but it really comes down to how much income will you need in retirement to meet your basic necessities, what we would call your essential income or your needs, right? So how much income are you going to need to cover those basic lifestyle expenses? So that's the first question. But then the second question, just as important, how much income are you going to need for the wants that you have? So some of the extra things, they might not be necessities, but they're the things you want for the lifestyle
the
that you
dreams that you've been
live.
having for yourself in retirement, right? Those bucket list items a lot of times.
Yes, and we look at those two things, and if we can get some concrete answers to that. Now, they don't have to be 100% accurate. Nothing about financial planning is going to be 100% accurate. But if we can pin down the income you need for your necessities and the income you want to have in retirement, because those are important questions, because we need to have different strategies for creating the income that you need for the necessities, and different strategies then for the income you need for those wants.
So share with us a little bit about those different strategies and what that might look like.
Yeah, I mean, for the necessities of life, I think that has to come from very stable, predictable income sources for you in retirement. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about something that has a guarantee behind it or some backing behind it. So Social Security, for example, is a guaranteed lifetime income stream. So that's an important tool for the income that you need for the essentials. If you're lucky enough to have a pension out there, well, a pension is also a guaranteed income stream for your life that's going to come from the employer that you work for. So again, that is an important tool. And then there might be still a gap that you have, and that's where your investments are going to come into play. But there are certain options that come with that same lifetime guarantee. So I would look at the needs, what you need from an income standpoint for these essentials. We need that to be very stable, predictable, reliable, with some guarantee behind it. Then we look at the wants that you have. And maybe we don't have to have that as structured and guaranteed. We can put that into some investments that maybe have better growth potential for you over the course of your retirement as well. So different strategies for those two different answers that you have.
Absolutely. Well, if someone's out there watching today and they're going, gosh, I've never been asked these questions, I've never thought through this, I don't have a retirement income plan, but I need one, what would you want to say to that person?
Yeah, I would say it's a huge tool to have. It creates, from my perspective, and I've seen it time and time again, it creates an aha moment where you can kind of see how the fruits of your labor over the years come together to support your retirement. So oftentimes we find people don't really have this strategy. And again, that survey backs that up. And I think that's largely because advisors in our industry have been very accustomed to helping individuals build their wealth for retirement, but maybe not as skilled or maybe not have the expertise to help guide them through the retirement years where they're now
that
spending
distribution phase,
the distribution
if you will.
phase.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
So retirement income planning, huge thing. So we like to put together written retirement plans, and like I said, it's that aha moment.
Yes, for sure. Well, and as part of that written retirement income plan, if you call that number on the bottom of your screen today, you're also going to receive a Social Security comparison report from Kevin and the team at Citizen Advisory Group. All you need to do is call that number on the bottom of your screen, 866-630-1675, or you're welcome to take out your smartphone. Simply scan that QR code down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That will take you over to a landing page, ask you a few short, simple questions, and a member of the team will reach out to you to schedule your complimentary visit. Again, this is for no cost, no charge, no obligation. Speaking of Social Security, as Kevin mentioned, this is a huge part of one's overall retirement income strategy. We're going to talk more about Social Security questions right after this.
I have a bachelor's degree in education. I spent the first part of my working years teaching. I left the teaching world and went into a family business endeavor that eventually led me down to the financial services world. And there really is a lot of overlap between the two, taking comprehensive topics and breaking that into common sense, easy to understand framework, whether that was in the classroom or now in a meeting room with clients. It was a transition, but some of the skills from the education world transferred very well over into the financial world. By and large, people are very confused about the financial planning process, and oftentimes they kind of settle for the default outcome of that, of not really having control. One of my favorite parts of the process is putting the solutions together and then presenting that back to the client and seeing maybe some light bulbs going off to understanding things that maybe there wasn't a great understanding of before. Setting goals, working towards those goals, and helping them along this journey to having a more successful financial outcome. I do have an oversight role as well, where I'm overseeing other advisors. We work very well together in a collaboration where we bring different areas of knowledge and expertise to the table to really provide more comprehensive solutions for our clients.
Welcome back. You're watching Retire Well. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, here with Kevin Bucher, co-founder of Citizen Advisory Group. We are talking today all about retirement income. Do you have a solid retirement income plan in place? And if not, we have solutions today that we're discussing to help you develop one. And you mentioned in the first segment, Kevin, Social Security. You and I both know that is a huge piece of someone's overall financial plan. So let's get into it, because I know folks out there have a lot of questions. It can be very, very complicated, and you're going to help navigate through that today.
Yes. So I think there's a lot of misconceptions about Social Security, and maybe it's more complex than it needs to be, but I think at the basic level, people understand that they can file for their benefits as early as age 62. The longer they wait to take their benefit, the monthly benefit increases. So when is the right time for you to take your Social Security? And there's a lot of talk out there about that. I think when you look at the research that's been done in this topic, it certainly leads to the benefits of delaying to an older age to take the benefits from an academic research standpoint.
Right.
But really, what's right for you is really going to be very specific to your individual situation. And it's not about what your neighbor's doing. It's not about what anybody else is saying you should do. It's really what's going to fit right for you. And it's one of those decisions that we can't make in a vacuum.
Right.
We have to figure, how does Social Security fit into the overall financial plan so that we can make the best decision?
And that's because there's so many personal factors that far outweigh the mathematical calculation. It's not so simple as, oh, at this age I get this amount. Well, are you married? Are you single? Are you divorced even? That can come into play, right? I mean, there's just so many things that affect Social Security.
Yeah, and it largely depends on what are your needs. So for some people, taking it early because they absolutely they have to, and
Right.
they have to fill their needs with the Social Security. And then there are other types of benefits, as you mentioned. So it's not just your own work history that comes into play. It's for your spouse and potentially even an ex-spouse or a deceased spouse that could come into play.
Right.
So the right decision for you, the difference between these strategies is, I think too often we kind of focus on the difference in the monthly amount. And,
Yep.
it might look so insignificant that if I wait a year, it's going to be $120 more or whatever it might be. And it might look somewhat insignificant. But when you factor that over a 15, 20-year retirement period,
It adds up, doesn't
that
it?
adds up to a really big difference.
Yep, for sure.
And too often, I think people make the decision without being fully informed of the lifetime consequences of that. So, you've heard me say this before in how I describe Social Security, and I think it just kind of highlights the importance of it. It's a lifetime income stream. It's an inflation-adjusted income stream, so we get cost of living adjustments to it.
Right.
It's a tax-efficient income stream, so part or all of your Social Security will be tax-free. So in no circumstance is all of your Social Security tax. So it's a tax-efficient income stream. And then finally, if you're the higher earner in your household, your Social Security benefit will provide a survivor benefit to your surviving spouse.
Right.
So it's a lifetime inflation-adjusted tax-efficient income stream that provides survivor protection. So that's really important.
It really is a huge thing to consider. And again, how you make a decision in one area of your financial life does and will affect all the others. I do want to presence the fact that I think a lot of viewers are concerned. I know I've heard this, you have as well. There's a lot of buzz in the news right now about Social Security, and a lot of folks are wondering about this whole impending insolvency of Social Security.
Yes.
So what would you say to that point?
So will it be there for me, right? So
That's the bottom line. That's what people want to know, right?
And the unfortunate reality of that concern is that it is leading more and more individuals to taking their Social Security earlier than maybe they would have or should have.
Otherwise, right?
And so your question is, what do I think of that? Well, first and foremost, I think you need to understand out there that Social Security is governed, it's laws passed by Congress. So your benefits are actual law. And yes, there are some solvency challenges, but until they change the laws, so until Congress actually changed the laws, it would be illegal for them to not make your full benefit payment.
Right.
So until new laws are passed, I think you should feel pretty confident in the fact that you're going to receive your benefits. Now, the reality is there are solvency issues. They are going to have to make changes. This is not the first time that we've had solvency issues with Social Security, and I would suggest it won't be the last time that we have solvency issues. So what happens? They do have to pass new laws. Historically, when we've passed new laws, those new laws have grandfathered in certain individuals that have reached certain ages.
Right.
Or the changes that have been imposed had minimal impact on the retirees that were already drawing their benefit. And I think it's going to be very likely that any Social Security legislative changes are done in that same vein. And so what I would caution viewers out there is to not make a rash decision out of fear, because any changes to Social Security will probably have a minimal impact to individuals who are probably in their late 50s or 60s, right?
Yep.
And there are things that are going to have to change, there's no doubt, but those changes are probably not going to greatly impact the retiree population.
Right, and who knows when those changes are going to happen. I mean, there's so many unknowns, but we have to go with what we know today for sure.
Yes.
And so this Social Security comparison report that you're offering to viewers today, can you unpack and explain a little bit more about what they're going to get from that report?
Yeah, so let me use a client example.
Great.
And I'll try to do this brief, right? So Kyle and Renee are some folks we worked with, and we did this, we met with them and talked about their situation. And Renee is actually quite a bit younger than Kyle. I think there was a 12-year age difference.
Okay.
Kyle was of the age where he could file for his Social Security, and he was considering doing so. And he was actually advised by a previous advisor that it really didn't make that big of a difference, that he should just go ahead and take his Social Security at his current age. Well, when we ran this Social Security comparison report, comparing two dates that they selected, one him taking his benefit now and one him waiting till his full retirement age, the difference was staggering, right? So the Social Security comparison report, first of all, highlights where's the break even of these two strategies.
Right.
So if you're going to delay taking your benefit, you're going to get a little behind on that benefit because you didn't take it. But you're going to get a bigger amount, so it's going to catch up. So that's what I'm talking about, the break even. Where do those two even out?
Right.
But it also shows then the lifetime benefit difference between those two strategies. And because of their unique situation of the age difference,
Right.
the difference over their projected lifetime was almost $500,000 in Social Security benefits.
I mean, $500,000.
$500,000.
Right.
That is a
huge.
$500,000 mistake that was almost made because they didn't do the proper evaluation of the benefits.
Wow. Well, no doubt folks are going to be wanting to get their hands on that report after hearing that story.
Yeah, it's not always $500,000.
Sure,
but,
I understand.
it is an important decision.
Absolutely. Well, to that point, we encourage you, if you're sitting at home and you're going, yes, I would like help navigating my Social Security benefits, it's important to note that if you call the Social Security Administration, they can give you information, but they are not allowed to give you information based on, or advice rather, on your individual personalized situation. The only way you're going to be able to get that kind of personalized advice is by meeting with someone like Kevin and the team at Citizen Advisory Group. So if you would like your own complimentary Social Security comparison report, we encourage you, pick up the phone, call that number on the bottom of your screen, 866-630-1675, or you can scan that QR code in the bottom right-hand corner, and that will get you connected as well. More on this important subject of planning your retirement income right after this.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Ben. Hey, birthday party for Carol and 5. Happy birthday to you.
Good morning, Ben. Happy Monday.
Daryl's birthday, be there or be square. Happy birthday to you. As you can see from our quarterly report on slide number 62, we're trending in the right direction. All signs point to a very positive outlook for the next several years. If you peel back the onion
Ben, do you have anything to add?
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Welcome back to Retire Well. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, here with Kevin Bucher, co-founder of Citizen Advisory Group. We're having a very important discussion today about developing your retirement income plan, because so many folks out there today don't have one yet. So if that's you, don't worry, you're not alone, but we are here to help provide some solutions for you. And Kevin, I know one of the things that we talked about earlier in the show is it's so important for folks to understand what they need in retirement, income-wise, and also what their wants are. So we've talked about the importance of Social Security, and of course today you're offering the Social Security comparison report. What happens if someone between their Social Security amount and maybe they are blessed to have a pension, which a lot of folks don't have today, but some folks still do. So what if those amounts combined together are not enough? Then what do we do to help develop this retirement income plan?
Right. So we have a gap, right? So Social Security plus pension equals this,
Right.
but that's not enough to meet my lifestyle expense. So we have this gap to fill, and that's where we're going to have to go to the investment portfolio. And the reality is there's a lot of viable solutions on how to use your investment portfolio to generate income for you in retirement. But they range from their level of security and stability, right? So we kind of touched on it at the beginning that for the necessities of life or your essential needs, we would strongly recommend that you've got those covered with some of the guarantees.
Right. The more guaranteed income being Social Security and or a pension.
Social
right?
Security pension. But then if that's not enough and you still want more guarantees, the way you get that is you go out to the annuity space, because annuities are the only tool out there that you can turn your investment dollars into a lifetime income stream.
It's like creating a personal pension for yourself.
Yes, so you're taking your investments, turning it into an income stream. There's different types of annuities. So one of the frustrating things I think about annuities and how they're reported out there in the mainstream media is that they're kind of all lumped together into the same categories.
Right, but you and I both know not all annuities are created equal.
Yeah, so different. So there's some annuities that you're still exposed to market loss. There's some annuities you're not exposed to market loss. There's some annuities that you have to turn your asset into the cash flow and lose total control over it.
Some have higher fees, some not as much, right?
Yeah, they're all just so different.
Right.
So what I would encourage you to realize is that if you are looking to have more guaranteed income, that maybe an annuity is right for you, and it would be worth exploring that annuity marketplace to understand the different types of annuities and if one is the right fit for you.
Absolutely, and that's important to do that research and to know what you're looking at.
Yes. So, I think a lot of annuity policy holders are extremely satisfied with that purchase. So an annuity is not right for everyone, but in certain circumstances, it is a great tool, especially for those that are looking to guarantee a little bit more income than what their Social Security and pension will do.
Right. Well, I know we only have a couple minutes left in today's show, but another important thing to highlight, which I think is more on the forefront of people's minds, given the way inflation has been in recent years, we have to account for that with this retirement income plan. So how do you build a retirement income plan that helps folks account for that inflation that inevitably is going to hurt our purchasing power in retirement?
Yeah, it has to be built into the plan, right? So we can't wait to be in a high inflationary environment and plan for it at that point.
Right.
So Social Security has cost of living adjustments, right? 2023, we saw an 8.7% rate. So it has some inflation protection there. A pension may or may not, it depends on where it's coming from, may or may not have cost of living adjustments. But then when we look at this annuity solution, if you're looking to guarantee some more income, there are options that have inflation protection built into it. So having inflation built into the income stream is important, but that's also where the other investments come into play, where you're investing for growth. Over a long enough period of time, you should see good growth in those, and that's how you can hedge against inflation, is through the investment portfolio.
Well, and to use your words earlier, which were so wise, you can't look at any of this in a vacuum. You have to look at how all these pieces fit together. So what would your parting words be to someone today who's going, yes, I need help in this area?
Yeah, I would sum this whole show up about retirement income planning is that we need to create a paycheck for you that's going to meet the necessities of life. We need to have a play check so that you have the income you want to go out there and live and enjoy life. And then we also want to have some assets set aside for discretionary items as well.
Absolutely. So much goes into this, and I know we just barely scratched the surface, but thank you so much for sharing that, and I'm excited for the folks that are going to get connected with you. Again, if you would like to call that number to get your own complimentary Social Security comparison report, 866-630-1675. We appreciate you watching. Until next time, retire well.